Hey guys, how are we doing? Welcome back to another episode of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex chapter review. Today we're going to be going over chapter 13, Prescience. Now, I have fully caught up with Boruto, so you can definitely expect to get these monthly reviews every month. Hit that like button, subscribe. Let's get right into it because we have a pretty mind-blowing chapter to get into today, and I'm not going to waste any more time. Obviously, with chapter 12, we pick up where we left off, where Kawaki dealt the finishing blow to the Hidari tree person, and now what's going on is Jura, who seems to be the leader of the Divine Tree people, is literally just eye sniping people, picking people off, which is like, if you could have told me this is what eye abilities would evolve to in Naruto in the future, honestly, I would have signed off on this because that's pretty intense that you can just stand up in the air and just pick people off like quick scope. Crazy. Anyway, long story short, right before Boruto gets his life ended immediately, sniper rifle through the heart, Mamushi, one of the Divine Tree people, claims to confirm Boruto has a conspirator, interrupting Jura at the right moment to stop him, which frankly seems a lot like fate, which Jura even comments on. And as we get into the rest of this chapter, you'll kind of see that that's actually not a bad assumption to make, honestly. Because as we get into the entire Kashin, Koji, and Boruto conspiracy, there are so many veils that get lifted in this chapter. It's insane, answering not just questions that we may have had from the very first part of the series, but questions that we may have had going forward into where the series is going to end up in the end. So as Jura and Mamushi basically escape with Hidari's Thorn Soul Bub, we get a quick flashback to how Boruto and Kashin Koji met originally. That was one of the big questions. Why are these two people working together? Originally, you know, they met each other as enemies in the very beginning. While Boruto was on the run after Sasuke was turned into a tree, Boruto and Kashin Koji met up when Boruto was almost about to get captured by a bunch of Leaf Shinobi. And upon meeting each other, they exchange some formalities, and Boruto's like, why should I even begin to trust you? And this is where we get the massive lore dump that is chapter 13. We find out about Prescience, Kashin Koji's Shibai ability, his future sight, which awakened right before he died to Ishiki back in part 1 of Boruto. Basically, the best way to describe this is Doctor Strange on steroids. Kashin Koji, through Prescience, is basically able to override omnipotence and see into the future, but multiple different ways that this future can proceed. Big bombshells going on to everything. But one thing I do want to focus on is all of these different events that were changed. Kashin Koji says Naruto almost died against Ishiki. Kawaki would have been killed by Ishiki and turned into a Divine Tree. That didn't happen. Kawaki was supposed to kill you, Boruto, completely. You were gonna die. Kawaki sealed up Naruto and Hinata, and then you got turned into a Divine Tree at the end of everything. So it's interesting how on all of these separate occasions, we avoided the worst possible future the best way we definitely could have. And it really makes me think, is there someone behind the scenes or a character that we have not met yet, or perhaps a character that we do know who smokes a lot of cigarettes that has been pulling the strings and making sure these terrible futures do not happen, all to align at one great endpoint? Otsutsuki Shibai is a character whose jutsu or shinjutsu is just beyond belief. They really are reality defying. You've got Ada's omnipotence, and you also have all the different abilities that we've seen Shibai use. Now, the certain Kara members that didn't get Shibai abilities, that explains why they were so absolute trash, right? But my question is, if Kashin Koji awakened his Shibai ability right before death, we have Delta running around who, sure, has died multiple times at this point, but it's possible there could be something that awakens later on. And for all we know, there are plenty of other jutsu that exist in the Naruto world that we don't even know about that can be tied to Shibai. Again, there could be someone pulling the strings. Amato could have some kind of built-in Shibai ability that we haven't even gotten into yet. There's still, as far as we know, we have the Occam's razor answer to why Sumeri and Sarada were able to completely avoid omnipotence. Sure, you could say that Ada didn't want to use their charm on them. She wanted real friends, and yada, yada, yada. There is big reasons why I think a lot of this is happening the way that it is. But enough on that right now. One thing we do focus on as well is Kashin Koji mentions how dangerous Jorah, the leader of the Divine Tree people, is. Not only just to the world, but to Boruto specifically, because in a lot of futures that Kashin Koji goes through, Jorah kills Boruto every single time. And that makes me think, was Boruto surviving this chapter one of those moments that Boruto was literally supposed to die, and then for some reason fate literally intervened and stopped it from happening, something that Jorah himself even comments on? The ability prescience opens up so many different doors to a lot of different opportunities at the way this story can go. But most importantly, the biggest theory that we can make that even Kashin Koji comes to is Kawaki seems to be the outlier in every one of these situations. Maybe we should just get rid of Kawaki, because whether it's through fate or something, Kawaki always seems to be involved with everything going on. And of course, you've got Boruto calling him bro, saying he will never betray his bro, and no matter what outcome there is, Boruto refuses to take any outcome that involves him killing Kawaki. But you know what? I think it's interesting when you take this new information that we have now, and we have Boruto saying that no matter what happens, he won't kill Kawaki. And then we go all the way back a couple years back to the very first scene of Boruto that we got, of Boruto and Kawaki at the destroyed Leaf Village, fighting to the death, it seems. And Boruto, in his last moments before we cut away, says, "I'd never believed you would go this far. I guess I'm gonna have to do this," or something along those lines, right? Is that Boruto finally realizing that Kawaki's gone too far? There's no way to potentially save him ever, and Boruto is going to have to kill him? The exact parallel and the opposite of his father's journey of trusting someone and never giving up on someone and fighting for someone until their dying breath and being able to turn someone around, that person being Sasuke. Is Boruto going to have to learn the inverse, where you can try as you might, you can't save people that don't want to be saved? Some people are just beyond saving. Especially someone like Kawaki, who, again, in millions of different timelines, every single one ends up with him becoming a divine tree. So let's make some sacrifices. Now, getting a little bit back into Otsutsuki Shibai and Amato's connection. The one thing I really want to reiterate is, as much as Amato tells us that, oh yeah, you know, I was working for, you know, Ishiki, I was working for Jigen, and they had Shibai's corpse and they were able to do all this stuff, and I was just, you know, my innocent bystander. I wanted to protect my daughter and revive her and yada yada, all that stuff. Amato is one of my favorite characters, but I can't deny that Amato has, one, a lot of knowledge, a lot of just handiwork in regards to using Shibai cells, Otsutsuki cells, and everything like that. You could argue, sure, you know, he's a scientist, he's been working on this for years, but wouldn't it be interesting if Amato really is hiding way more from us than we know? We already know Amato is sketchy to a certain degree. So this whole Otsutsuki Shibai, Amato, there being multiple reasons why our timeline should be the worst possible timeline, but so many different things keep happening to just push the timeline in a different direction, almost feeling like someone is being a grand mastermind behind all of this. And again, we still don't know what even happened to Otsutsuki Shibai, right? Supposedly, when they reached godhood, they ascended past their mortal form and became something inconceivable to man. Is Otsutsuki Shibai like some kind of god that still exists to this day, pulling the strings? Some kind, is Otsutsuki Shibai chakra itself, the universe? I mean, we already have Boruto using planetary spin and stuff like that in his jutsu, so there's obviously going to be different things in, you know, being explored in this universe. Otsutsuki Shibai's corpse ascending to the mortal realm, leaving behind a human body. What if Amato is that human body? Now, again, we're getting very conspiratorial, we're getting very tinfoil hat. Just wanted you to follow me down that thought process for a little bit. Back to present day, where we pick everything back up with Boruto awakening from his unconsciousness. Himawari is showing full control over Kurama's healing powers, able to save Sarada and Boruto, and she's just speedrunning being a Jinchuriki. Let's be completely honest here. I don't know how everyone feels about that. I'd love to see people's you know, feelings in the comments. You know, I'm not the biggest, oh, I can't believe they did this, but it's definitely like every chapter where Himawari does something crazier, I'm like, they really need to speed run your development so you can take on Damon later on, right? Konohamaru and Kawaki take the opportunity they can to arrest Boruto and put on these handcuffs that are going to nullify his chakra. He's not going to be able to get out pretty easily, or, I mean, will he? Boruto seems pretty intelligent, much more intelligent than most of the Leaf Village at this point for some reason. So Boruto may be able to get out of this, or is Boruto going to turn everyone on his side? Is he going to be able to explain omnipotence? Is Ada going to give away omnipotence now that she's having doubts on Kawaki and is kind of falling for Boruto a little bit more? You also have the, you know, Kashin Koji is still around. Maybe Kashin Koji can back up Boruto's story and add more credibility to it. Kawaki is always going to oppose Boruto. And the bad thing is Kawaki and Boruto being close in contact can potentially activate Boruto's karma, which we know is not a good thing. We haven't seen Momoshiki for a while now. We don't know what's even going on with Momoshiki, let alone Kashin Koji going through all the prescience and everything that we talked about didn't really mention Momoshiki. Now, again, we just couldn't have gotten to that point, but it is interesting that Momoshiki was left out of everything that was spread to Boruto. The one thing I will give Kawaki an interesting nod for is when he finds Kashin Koji's toad, he doesn't say anything to Konohamaru and he lets it go. So I'm interested to see how Kawaki's mind is going to consider all of this information, and obviously he knows what's going on. So is he going to be willing to let Boruto shatter omnipotence? We're just gonna have to wait and see. Going back to the Divine Tree people, reviving Hidari and birthing the brand new Divine Tree person, who again, we're not completely sure who it is, but it seems like it might be Shinki, might even be Gaara. I've seen some people theorize. So all in all, guys, thank you so much. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you want to make sure you catch next month's chapter review, as well as check out my main channel. It should be right over here. Actually, I got it this time. I got the right spot this time in the end screen, and you can check out Boruto content and among other anime and manga content on my main channel as well. So if you enjoy that stuff, check it out, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.